Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut and sew this stylish dress with side gathers. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and if you have not yet seen the drafting tutorial, please go down to my YouTube channel, or I'm going to leave the link at the comment section. So to start, here is my pattern and I've gone ahead to cut it out. So for this particular pattern, I added ½ inch in front for the center, which we are joining together because we cut that out separately. So we are going to join it back with ½ inch. So I also cut that out on my lining, and before sewing I'll come down by 2 inches because we came down by 1.5 when we are actually cutting that part of the dress. And remember to add ½ inch on top and at the lower part too, or the turn up allowance on top. So on the lining piece, I'll go ahead and iron a gum stay to it. So for this pattern I added ½ inch also all the way around, except at the side because we have already added our sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and I'll be joining this with ½ inch. On the lining piece, I'll iron gum stay. So I'm not padding this dress actually, because from what we have on the thumbnail, we are making it like an already made dress and we don't need much padding. All I'll do is just to iron and interfacing on the lining part of the dress. So after I'm done joining, this is what I have. So I made this little strap because I'll be attaching it at the front part. I'll go ahead and I will top stitch it on it. So after that, we'll move over to the back pattern, and this is what I have. For this pattern, you can see that we added ½ inch here and all the way around, except for the side. And here also we added ½ inch in front at the sides also to join up the dress. So I'll go ahead and I will unpin this and then go ahead to open it and place it so that it will match each other. So I'll go ahead and join it. So whatever I do on the main fabric, I'm also doing it on the lining piece, right? And for the back pattern, I just joined my lining. I didn't iron any interfacing. I ironed interfacing for the front. You can still go ahead to do that. We are not padding it. So after I'm done joining the back, this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to place this together. Now I'm going to stitch with ½ inch all the way around and stitch at the lower part, and I'll also go ahead to repeat this at this other side. After stitching, I'll go ahead to notch it and turn it round. So just like I said, I'll go ahead to use my scissors to notch it, and after I'm done notching it, I'll flip it over to the right side of the fabric and I'll go ahead and top stitch the lower part. So turning it over, this is what I have. So when you're sewing, make sure you are also ironing. It will help your dress relax very well. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead to top stitch it on this part. So I'll repeat the same process for the other side, and now I'll bring the front. So if you notice, I've joined the lining and the fabric. So for the front, I'll place it together. That side that has an opening, I'll just stitch with 0.3 inches all the way around on that part. So after I'm done stitching, I'll go ahead and I will notch it so that it will relax when I open it or turn it to the right side. So now for this dress, you can attach your sleeve now, but I'll be attaching my sleeve much later in case I need any adjustment. So what I'll do is to go ahead and stitch with ½ inch at the upper part and at the side, and also repeat this at the other side of my pattern. Stitch with ½ inch here and at the side, and at the lower part I'm going to place this together and I'm going to stitch with ½ inch. So after I'm done stitching, this is what I have, and the next step is to join my pattern. But before joining my pattern, I'll go ahead to join the back together first, and I'll go ahead to place it together. From the waistline, I'll come down by 7 inches or 8 inches. After marking that, remember for our zipper allowance we used 1.5, so we used ½ inch to turn it in, remaining 1 inch. So you're going to stitch that part down with 1 inch, and here also I'm going to measure 1 inch at the upper part of my pattern, which I'm going to use to attach zipper at the upper part of my dress. You also want to repeat the same process of marking 1 inch at the upper part for your zip. This will help serve as a guide when you're adding a zipper to your dress. So I'll just go ahead and mark to the end, and after I'm done marking, I'll attach my zipper and stitch it up. So now this is my back pattern and this is my front. So this is how it is looking like. If you notice, it is very neat and it's coming out nice. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead to join my pattern together. So to join your pattern, I used 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance, and I used half to shape it out. So I have 1 inch remaining. So if you shape your dress very well, like the sewing allowance you added is what you shape out, what you be remaining at the side of your pattern will be exactly 1 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it. So if you shape your dress very well, it will reduce the stress of going ahead to start imputing or marking your measurement. But after I was done marking this, I went ahead to place my tape and to make sure that my measurement is in order before going ahead to shape. So I used my tape to cross check my measurement. My waist is 28 divided by 2, I have 14. So I already did that for my bust, and for the waist I have the same measurement, and looking at what I have here, it corresponds. So I'll just go ahead and shape it out at this point. So now here is my pattern. This is the back and this is the front, but when I was cutting this out, I used one side because my pattern is the same. So what I did was to cut it on fold. This is just to reduce the stress of slashing and spreading both the back and front pattern. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take that part that is facing the hip and you're going to turn it this way, because the part that is supposed to be at the hip point is the closed part of your pattern. So I'll go ahead and take this part, and this is how I'll be placing it. So what I'll do next is just to go ahead and slash and cut it out. After cutting it, we'll be spreading it on the fabric. So now I started with the part that has my hip, which is number 4 on the closed side, and the part that is going towards the center at the open part. So you want to like use the same width or spacing for your pattern. So after this, you're just going to go ahead to trace or cut it out, and when cutting out, you're going to add ½ inch on top. So after I'm done cutting out, I'll go ahead to notch this so that I'll know the center of my pattern. I'll take out my pin and I'll open this up. So this is what I have. I'll go ahead to fold the lower part. So after folding the lower part, it's now time to attach it to the dress. I'll go ahead and turn it this way, then I'll pick one side of the fabric and I'll place and stitch. Then on the other side also, I'll pick this side and I'll place and stitch. And I'll also repeat this for the other side of my dress. So now I'll go ahead to open up the zip and I'll start pleating on this dress. So you can go ahead to pin it down, or while you're sewing you'll be pleating. So anyone that works for you, or you can also use a gathers on it. So at the center of the fabric, I'll pin it to the joining at the side of my dress. So now I'll go ahead to pleat. So for me, I used a pleat to achieve mine. So you're going to pleat and make sure that whatever you have here, whatever you have on the fabric, fits on the space you have on the dress. So after this, you stitch with ½ inch. So here is my dress now. I'm done pleating it, and I've stitched with 1/2 inch. This is what it looks like. And next we'll be cutting out the sleeve. So remember, when we are cutting out this dress, I marked this out, so I was actually going to use this as a reference point. So measuring what I have towards the armhole side, I have 5.5 and 7.5. 5.5 plus 7 will give you 12.5. So you're going to use that as your armhole circumference, or if you don't want, since this is a cap or T-cuff sleeve, you can still use your armhole circumference divided by 2. So first, from that point, you mark your sleeve cap height, and to get your sleeve cap height is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches. So after marking that, I will draw out a line on that point, meeting your armhole circumference divided by 2, or whatever measurement you have at the sleeve. So you divide that point into 2 and you connect. Also divide here into 2 and connect. Come down by 1/2, and at this other side come up by 1/2 inch, and you're going to go ahead to connect like you're drawing out your basic sleeve. So after this, I measured about 4 inches and I drew out a line. So when I was sewing my sleeve, it was slightly bigger than what I actually needed, so I reduced my sleeve by 1 inch. So that means for my sleeve I used 3 inches. So I'll just go ahead and cut out, and when you're cutting out, go ahead to add 1/2 inch for the joining allowance. So I will slash my sleeve also. I'm going to do a slash and spread method for the sleeve. So here is it on the pattern paper, and I'll go ahead to actually cut this out, spread it before cutting out my sleeve. So I'll go ahead and slash, open it, and I'll spread it out. So I'm not really spreading it that much because I don't need much ruffle or gathers on the sleeve, just slightly on the sleeve, and I'll go ahead to cut this out. And after cutting out, I'll be cutting out the lining also. So for this sleeve, it's best to use the same fabric to cut out your lining, but my fabric was not enough, so I had to just go ahead to use lining to turn it up. I also 1/2 inch at the upper part and 1/2 inch at the lower part of this sleeve. So for this part of my dress, I'll measure from the armhole to the front part where I have the strap, and I'll use that to cut this out. So go ahead and measure what you have for yours, and for me, I'll be using about 8 inches, and the width will be 4 inches. So this is not a standard. Just like I said, measure what you have in front of your dress, and then you can use 4 inches or 3 to 5 inches for the width of this particular collar or whatever that is attached to the front part of the dress. So I'm also going to cut out another fabric and use it to turn it up. After cutting, I'll just go ahead and stitch it round. So here is my sleeve. At the curved part of the sleeve, I'll go ahead and run 1/2 inch on top of it. And after that, I'll insert an elastic casing. Note the curved part, that is the part going towards the shoulder of the dress. So that is where you're going to run the top stitch and add an elastic to it. So after this, we are now going to attach our sleeve to the dress. So I did mine after I was done sewing. You can do yours before that. So after this, you go ahead and top stitch and also add this on top. That is also to top stitch this and turn it to the other side this way. So after sewing, this is the final look of the dress.